Canberra, Australia's national capital. A spacious city, relaxed yet purposeful, where there is room and time for life to be enjoyed.
A lot of people consider Canberra as the one place in Australia they wouldn't want to live.
For every time I mention Canberra, people think it's like a chance for them to say something crazy.
I just hear it all, like there's not enough stuff to do, they're bored, it's cold.
Canberra? It's usually not the most exciting response.
The Australian Capital Territory is considered like a state or a territory, but essentially there's only one town in it, and Canberra is the town or the city. As a consequence of what it is or why it was put here, I think it gets a bit of a bad rap.
Parliament House is the architectural centre of the capital. At least one member of the household works in the national administration.
Boring, uneventful.
They don't like Canberra at all.
Some say we don't have too much, but I think it's just how you use what you have, and I think we use it pretty well.
For me, growing up there, it had plenty. I always found a way to make something happen.
The general perception for basketball in Australia is that there are big population centres that will dominate, and the smaller ones like the ACT will probably struggle.
I think we're not contenders, which has been true in the past.
The expectation is for everyone to come out and smack ACT by at least 40.
ACT was never really expected to do big things.
Previously having the Canberra Cannons playing in the NBL was cool.
And they were a foundation club with the NBL back in '79.
They were competitive in the league, and then that kind of went away. They were no longer in the NBL.
The women's team, they've done extremely well. They've won national championships.
Having an NBL team, I think that definitely would have been something that kind of helped me and would have helped a lot of people kind of get more involved in the game from a young age.
Every time I say I'm from Canberra, it's like people start thinking it's impossible for you to grow as a basketball player.
But that perception's changing just as the perception of Canberra as a city is changing. It's a really exciting time for Canberra basketball.
Dreams aren't supposed to be realistic. Dreams are supposed to be dreams that become goals because of how hard you work for them. I'm not supposed to be here, honestly. I'm not. My parents didn't play basketball. I wasn't born with a basketball in my hand.
I wouldn't describe Jima at 14 as a possible NBA player. He played wildly and erratically, but he played hard.
At that time, night hoops was huge.
Any hooper that was in Canberra was doing night hoops.
There were older guys there that I always felt like I wanted to impress.
We'd go to watch the Gunners play, and then we'd go play pickup. And we played till midnight, so we played for about 4 or 5 hours. Chima was there. He was a knucklehead too, so we'd get in a bunch of arguments.
It was just good to see as a community people that cared about us, that wanted us to be safe, be healthy, be smart, and to have fun. And, you know, shout out to Pierre for handling that.
For the time that it lasted, it was one of the coolest experiences for me.
The AIS was born out of some disappointing results in the 70s at Olympic Games. There had been a move in Europe to centralise programs on a national scale. Basketball was one of the 8 foundation sports in 1981, and the addition of the NBA Academy 5 years ago now has added another dimension to the program. It's a way for kids from Canberra to see a multitude of players from all around the world now and look at that and say, oh, that's happening in my own backyard.
I practice at the AIS twice a week for whatever team I was practicing for, and just seeing those guys and being friends with them, it definitely made them reachable. Dante became one of my closest friends, and seeing how he just took off, he ended up being the 5th overall pick. So seeing all of that and seeing the development of it, I thought, I could do this. I started recording my games. I sent emails, hundreds of emails to schools in America. Started off with Division I, no responses. This is all throughout like the period of weeks, months. Back then it was so far-fetched playing in the NBA. There were times where I didn't even think I'd get to America to play in college, period. And at some point I almost started giving up. And then my senior year of high school, playing in the tournament with Dante, this guy came up to me and he said, would you want to play in America? And for me, that was a no-brainer. It's not Division I, it's not California, but it's a full ride, and that's all I cared to hear about.
It's really cool because it shows what happens when you work hard. Like, Chima is one of the hardest workers ever. He doesn't just say it, he actually does it. And look at him now, he's in the NBA and he's representing his country. When I seen him play from Nigeria, I was on my couch at home and I'm like, I want to do that.
NBL Rookie of the Year. He's going to pick up a steal here. Watch out, take off, Cole slams it up. Long three is up from Cole. Where's White? Here's the Rookie of the Year.
My journey started in Loboni, refugee camp in Ethiopia. 2006, moved to Canberra. We're coming from a war-torn country. It was a chance to start a new chapter. We had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. Never really seen any other cultures or like even just white people. Like, that sounds crazy, but like that was big for me. That was big for a lot of us, and yeah, it was a big step. But it was one of the coolest things ever. It's brought me here and it's created a lot of opportunities for our family.
Bull was one of the guys that I saw had the same drive and passion as me. And you know, he was kind of clueless in the most respectful way like I was, because he thought he was the best as well.
They was impressed with one of my performances, so they invited me to come to the AIS to work out with the guys. That was like a whole another journey in itself, because I feel like these guys were way ahead of me. And so it was a little bit intimidating, but I'm thankful for it because it put me in that little pressure environment that I needed to be in. And I think it also instilled something in me where I was like, I want to be a great player because I'm around these guys all the time. I feel like that's when I started writing down, I want to go to the NBA, because Luol Deng is in the NBA. You got guys like Patty Mills in the NBA. I'm like, I want to be one of the first Sudanese to play in the NBA.
You know, as he's gotten older, he's gotten so much better, and he's always believed in himself. And you know, he's playing in the NBL now. He's the Rookie of the Year. Like, he deserves all of that.
Right after this season, out of nowhere, my agent starts calling me. It's like, hey, Chicago want to bring you in for like a pre-draft workout. I was like, what? It was just like, this is the opportunity. You want to do it or not? So I booked my flight that same night, stayed up all night, just booked everything, packed, and just dipped. I feel like that made the NBA a little bit more like realistic, that experience, because a lot of times you look at the NBA, you see it from afar, you're looking at it from the TV, and these guys look like superhumans, you know what I mean? And so to go over there and actually see it for what it is, it's like, oh, this is just across the ocean, like I can actually do this. It's actually possible.
Realizing that he was on the same court as my brother and close to my brother, seeing how much he's just progressed from then to now, kind of realizing that this is where it all started, and it's just moving along and it's getting better and better every year.
It's always important to see others like you doing well as a young guy, so Bowen or Tui, and look at that and say, well, I can do those things. It makes the imposing journey to the NBA, when you cut it into the little blocks, seem more achievable.
It's not impossible for kids from Canberra to be on the biggest stage and excel as well. My basketball dream would definitely have to be represent my country in Olympics, trying to get to where I want to be, which is ultimately making the NBA. I think I'm at the best place in the world to make that happen.
Alex started the year kind of unknown. He had 2 or 3 schools that showed a little bit of interest. He went to the tournament in Providence, and lots of people said, oh, where's this kid come from? By the time he went back to the US in July, he was hot property. I mean, he had 40 or 50 schools, maybe more than that, calling about him, interested in him. Tui has committed to Gonzaga, a powerhouse in the US. He's going to play for a great coach. His style of game will suit them.
I was originally born in South Australia. I moved here really young, 2 or 3, when Mum came down to play with the Caps. I feel like having that exposure to that level of play really helped me early on. First time I put my NBA Academy gear on, I sent a photo straight to Mum, put it in all the family group chats. I couldn't take it off for the rest of the day. It was just such a surreal feeling.
Bowen has committed to Sacramento State. He's going to go and play Division I basketball on the west coast of the USA. He'll go over there, he'll learn his craft, he'll play against older guys, better athletes, and should come back a much better player.
The fact that we're both from Canberra, which is a small place, I think not too many times they've had 2 people from Canberra in the same programs.
You look back and like, wait, how did that happen? How did a guy like Chima get in the NBA? Or how does a guy like Boo play in the NBL? Or how is Alex Tui playing for Gonzaga? Yeah, like, it blows people's minds. And I think Canberra is special. I think people are still sleeping on it a little bit.
It's a growing city in maturity, and within that comes a sense of identity. You're proud to be a Canberran now, proud to be from the ACT.
It doesn't matter how small of a place that you live in, how big these other places are, the opportunities that some other people have. It's like, bro, you can do anything with whatever you have.
I was that kid. I'm from Canberra. I went to Lake G, I went to Canberra High. Like, I went to these places that all these kids are going to, and you've seen it being done, first by Patty, now by me. It's possible, and it's gonna be difficult, but I'm not supposed to be here, so if I'm here, you guys can be as well.
Oh, it's Ball Stars, baby, yeah. This has been the anthem for the capital. Welcome to the capital. Welcome to the capital. ACT, that's for real, man. Throw your hood up, rep where you from, cause I'm reppin' the ACT. Welcome to the capital. My CT, that's the deal. Like